Hi Stampers, it's Lisa with Queen Bee Creations. I'm here with a fun fold card for you for our Happy Monday. I'm actually not in town right now. I am in New Mexico visiting my daughter, but I have pre-filmed this video for you so that I can still go live. Hopefully I'm showing up in the comments so I can answer any questions you have and kind of guide you along in creating an awesome card. This is a card I've been seeing all over Pinterest. I can't even tell you who originally created it because I found so many of them, but I just had to give it a try. It's not practical. It doesn't fit in an A2 envelope, but check this out. They call it a chair step card, and it displays beautifully. And it does fold up. I've got mine actually glued open because I wanted to stand it up on my desk to show you. And I think I might leave the bracket in it for something I'm going to display. And I've got kind of a little trick I thought I would show you how we could leave like one side of the bracket attached and not the other, so that you can give a little bit of instruction to the recipient so you can flatten it out, mail it, and they can reassemble it on the other side or prop it up so that they can display. So let's get started. Okay, here is the bundle we were using. It's called the Happy Hibiscus. It is a bundle with a hybrid embossing folder. And what a hybrid embossing folder does is it allows you to do a regular dry embossing, or you can take the die and using the side where the Stampin' Up! Logo is, you're going to set this die into the kind of grooves on this side, and you'll kind of feel it as you kind of wiggle it around. Eventually it kind of like finds its home and kind of sits in a little groove, and then you would set your cardstock on top of it. Now I only need the 2 flowers, not this little one. If you wanted the little one too, you would make a bigger piece of paper, obviously. But I'm going to put it together like this, and then I'm going to run it through my cut and emboss machine using the base plate number 1, and then I'm also going to be using plate number 4. Okay, so this is the sandwich for our hybrid embossing folder. You can see in one run through the machine, we have our die cut and dry embossed flowers in one pass. You can also use them separately. This obviously will cut out the flowers. I mean, the picture's not the same size, but the flowers are one stamp, the 3 of them together. This is the outline of the hibiscus. And then here are your 3 filler ones so that you could add color to them, but then they would just cut out the die. But for this card, I'm using the flowers that are done, and then I'm going to dry emboss without the die. So I'm just going to set my piece of paper in here, and I'm going to run it through and do a standard dry embossing without any cutting. Then while I have this out, I'm going to go ahead and use the leaf die, and I'm going to use, there's a hollow leaf that if you're going to stamp them and then cut them out, there's those 2 leaves here, 2 different sizes, but I'm going to use this one because it will cut and emboss, or actually it cuts the insides. But anyway, it's a more decorative leaf. So I'm going to do 3 of these using some scrap of old olive cardstock. And I have put adhesive sheet on the back just to make things a little easier on myself when I go to assemble my card. But to do this, I'm going to switch up my sandwich. So I'm going to use the base plate and then you would be using 2 of 3. You would put a number 3 down and then your cardstock die and another number 3. I have replaced this piece here with my chrome precision base plate. That's something I ordered on Amazon. It's the same thickness as the clear one on top, but it doesn't bend. So I'm kind of cheating because you can see this one has bent a lot and even cracked. It still works, but the bottom one never bends on me, so I just like it. And anything that fits a Sizzix Big Shot is also going to fit our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And I have it off to the side here because it's just so big, it takes up a lot of room on the camera. When I can use my mini cut and emboss machine, I will put that one in the camera view, but I don't always with the bigger one just because it takes up too much space. So it's just kind of off to the side. I'm punching the paper through the ejection holes here. Trying to get it to pop out. See, so I started saying that it embosses, but it doesn't truly emboss. What it does is it cuts. So it's got some extra cut lines to it, giving it some depth and texture, just making for a more interesting leaf. But I'm going to go ahead and do 3 of those. Okay, so here I have dry embossed this piece here. This is 3 3/8 by 6 of basic white. And then I have some fresh freesia cardstock that I have done my hibiscus in the hybrid embossing folder. Use the detailed die cut to cut out 3 of the leaves from Old Olive. And then I had some additional flowers I'd already cut out. So here is one in fresh freesia for the little. And then I'm going to swap this out and just do a couple colors. So I'm going to mix and match my colors for that. So this one's done in Pool Party. I'll save the other flowers for the next card. And then I need a piece of Misty Moonlight cardstock that is 5.5 by 10 3/4. I have that scored at 3/4, 2 3/4, 4 3/4, and 6 3/4. So I basically have a 3/4 inch panel and then 2 panels that are 3 panels that are 2 each. And that's going to leave me on the end with a 4-inch section. Okay, so 4 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, 3/4. I'm going to make a mountain fold out of this back one. And then so this one's a valley. I got my sample here. So I have a valley, a mountain, a valley, and a mountain. Okay, so that's how we get kind of our step. Okay. But I wanted the center part to have this, you know, opening and extend up. And so for that, what I need to do is take and cut from here to here and here to here and then across the middle. Okay, so I'm going to come in 1 inch from each side and then cut from this one here to this one here. So from the, I guess counting from the bottom, from the second score line to the third. I guess it'd be both directions, it's second to third. So this middle one right here, I'm going to bring in my trimmer and I'm going to measure over 1 inch. Okay, so I'm using the 1 inch mark here and I'm going to set my piece in there and then I want to cut as I said, from that score line to this score line. Okay, now there is a little line in here that if you're standing over it and you can see, you want to make this line in the center of the blade here line up with that score line. Because I'm at a bit of an angle, I can't really see super well, so I just lift up and check to make sure that I'm there but not over. Okay, and I'm going to flip this 180 degrees and do the same thing. You'll notice that I kind of drop it in the middle and then go up and go down. That's just my preference. I do that often because sometimes when I'm starting to score something, I have a point on an end I don't want to smash. Okay. And now I want to cut from here to here. So I'm going to lay that same section, you know, of where the score line is, and then I want to cut out just the middle. Okay, so this is your hard part of the card. If there's such a thing as a hard part, this would be it. Once you've got this, you are home free. From here on out, this card is easy. Okay. Here we go. There is our step. Now we just want to decorate. So that's where I'm going to bring in all my little pieces. So I have for right here, this 2-inch section, I have a piece that is 1 7/8 by 5 3/8. So I'm doing a really teeny tiny border around there. You can do these in 1/4 inches instead of 1/8 of an inch if you wanted to simplify things for yourself. It just gives a little wider border, and I liked the narrow one. So as I said, I'm going 1 7/8 by 5 3/8, but you can do 1 3/4 by 5 1/4 and just have a wider border. Okay, this across the bottom was 3/4 of an inch. So this is 5/8 of an inch by 5 3/8. Okay, if you want to do quarters, this would be 1/2 of an inch by 5 1/4. And I'm using the same Packet Designer Series paper. This is all from the Floral Impressions bundle of paper. I just wanted to have a couple different patterns on the front, and that's one of the great things about our packs of Designer Series paper is they all coordinate beautifully. So I'm able to use different patterns out of the same set. Okay. So for our seat portion right here, these pieces right here are 2 inches by 1 inch. So the little piece I'm going to adhere in here is 7/8 of an inch by 1 7/8. If you want to do 1/4 inches, this would be 3/4 by 1 3/4. And I'm going to do the same size for 4 of them, but I'm going to put this pattern I'm going to do on these 2 sections here. And then I'm going to do another pattern right above it. And I'm going to do the same size, but they're going to go up here because my dry embossed white is going to feed all the way up the center. Okay. So I'm just trying to line it up with the one right directly underneath it. And you see what I mean about my card keeps kind of like trying to lay flat? That's where the little bracket's going to come in handy. Okay, so now I want to take this dry embossed piece of basic white and I want to adhere it up here through the middle. Suppose it doesn't matter which direction it goes, but I want to adhere it on all of the blue under here, but not up here. So you can create a little mark with a pencil if you want, or you can just guesstimate, or you can add the glue just to this part. Remember, our glue is very strong, so you don't need a lot of it. Those are very thin lines. And what I'm doing is I'm just kind of making sure that I'm wiggling it around and getting an even border on the three sides down here. And once I'm happy with that, I can just push it in up here. So now that's glued from here to here. Okay, so it's starting to take shape. And I'm just going to create a small floral arrangement on the front here. So I'm going to use this one as my guide. I kind of liked the way that came out. So I'm going to put some dimensionals under here, make them pop up a little bit. And actually, let's go ahead and use our little sponge daubers. I'm going to use the one for Pool Party and Fresh Freesia. If you like the little chart up here that is laminated, you can either get it on my website where you print it yourself, or I can print and laminate and mail it to you. That's available in my store. On my website at queenbeecreations.net/store. I'm going to pull in Pool Party and Fresh Freesia. I'm just going to accent the edges a little bit, make these pop. Just a little extra something. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in my Wink of Stella. And I'm just going to add a little bit of sparkle to the middle here. So it's a little sparkle and it makes it a little darker in the center, just giving a little contrast and some fun. This one I think I'm going to like flat, but it has some dimension, so I want to use the mini glue dots so that I make sure I get good contact. And I'm trying to add the glue dots to some of the raised areas on the back so that they're not kind of like in a little divot. There. There, and let's tuck that one in there. Now for the leaves. Remember, I used adhesive sheets, so we're just going to peel off the backing, and now they're stickers. We're not going to see the stem, so I'm just going to pull that off for simplicity reasons. There we go, I kind of like that. Now I have the back area. I'm going to put a piece of basic white back here. So I have a piece that is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So it's just barely going to fit. I'm going to have that teeny tiny border. Oh, just measured. I take that back. This was 3 7/8 because remember that back was 4 inches instead of 4 1/4. let's do some stamping on this. So I'm going to go back to our stamp set. And I'm going to do the "You Make Me Smile" as our sentiment, and then I'm going to use the flower across the bottom. So I'm going to do our flowers here in Bubble Bath. Could also use fresh freesia. Maybe could even do a combination of the two, huh? So just a little something to give some accent down at the bottom. And then Misty Moonlight for our sentiment, since that is the color of our card base. So remember I was saying that it's supposed to stand up like this, and it kind of does, and then after a while it slips a little bit. So I'm adding a bracket inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find kind of a center, and then this piece is 2 inches by 3/4 of an inch, and I've scored it 1/2 an inch from either side. And then I want the bracket to span between here and then over here. But to make sure that we're equal distances, I'm going to kind of center this here, and I'm going to put tear and tape on. I want tear and tape on both ends, but let's start here. Okay, so like I said, I want it to adhere here and then over here. So I'm going to pick kind of about in the middle, and I've got my sticky end down here. And I'm going to go like that, which I know seems weird, but I want the right distance. So when I match it up here, it'll be the right distance. Y'all see that? And my thought was, if I wanted to mail this, if I needed to lay it flat, that maybe what I would do is just take maybe a marker or a pencil or something and just make a little mark. And maybe even say adhere here. Right? So then I could tell them, I could mail it with this like that, fold it up, put it in my oversized envelope. It would need to be probably a 6x6 envelope. And then when they got it on the other side, they could choose to adhere that here. And then it would be ready to stand up like this one, because this has my bracket in there. Okay, so what do you think? Looks amazing, a little too complicated. Disappointed it's not an A2. I'd love some feedback on what you think of the card. Okay, so what do you think? Is that super amazing? A little too complicated? Let me know what you think, because I'm always looking for feedback from you guys on what you want me to be doing, so that I make sure that what I'm bringing you is something you want to see. But thank you for being here. I appreciate it, and I will see you next time on Thursday for another live. Thank you so much. Bye.